There's hundreds of limiters out there, and I haven't tried every single one, of course, but over the past decade or so, these have been the ones that I come back to time and time again. Whether it's due to their versatility, their unique sound, their transparency, or just general usefulness, I could wholeheartedly recommend the 5 limiters that we're about to cover. And the top 3 that we're covering today are limiters that I use on every master I do for Sage Audio clients, so I might be a little biased, but I think they sound great. Now, this video isn't sponsored in any way. These are just my opinions. We're covering 4 digital limiters and 1 analog limiter with digital control, and we'll go behind the scenes to get some insights as to why they work the way that they do. And then at the end of the video, we'll listen to a song separately limited with each of the 5 limiters until the track measures at around -9 LUFS so that you could hear the differences between each. Lastly, if there's one that I left off this list that you really think belongs here, you can just let me know about it. I always read the comments and I appreciate the feedback. Okay, let's jump into the top 5 mastering limiters of all time. The Weiss compressor limiter is a simplified version of the DS1 Mark III, and I found it's a fantastic way to introduce transparent compression before limiting. This way, the negative impact true peak limiting can have on transients is reduced, and we minimize the distortion that's caused by brick wall limiting. Instead of pushing the signal into the ceiling, I can compress first, maybe target an area that's triggering the limiter the most, and then attenuate it as needed. Then I can achieve a louder sound with less overall limiting. Now on the surface, the plugin looks overly simplified, but there's a lot of versatility, especially with delinked channels and some adjustments in the setting window. For example, on this track, I've selected mid-side compression, and I delinked the channels so that I could target the mid and the side images separately. Then, I've selected the bandpass filter to compress the range containing the kick in the mid image. On the side image, I'm compressing some of the mid-range to reduce masking to harder to hear side image high frequencies. Then, I'll open up the settings window and fine-tune the release to ensure the compressor doesn't hold on to the kick for too long and reduce its impact or the impact of unrelated transients. With the limiter engaged, I'll adjust the compressor settings to find the right balance between the 2 processors. Now, alternatively, I could just compress the left and the right channels collectively, introduce about 20 dB of attenuation, then adjust the level of the parallel dial for some pre-limiting parallel compression. Lastly, we got 3 limiting algorithms that you could find in the settings window. DS1 is the original algorithm from the compressor hardware. T1 is similar to most modern brick wall limiters. It's a new algorithm that Softube created for the plugin, and it works well for achieving a higher loudness level. And T2 is similar to T1, but it uses true peak limiting, which is great if you want to avoid distortion during limiting, during D to A conversion, and when the master is encoded to a lossy type like a MP3 or an AAC file. So let's take a listen. I'll push the limiters a little harder in these demos so you can hear their effect. And the track that we're using today is from a friend in Sage Audio client going under the name Bometheus. I've left a link in the description if you like their music and you want to check it out.
Your influences crowding out, shouting out. Are you ready for it? Is anyone? And your memories flash on repeat, and it all comes back to you.
Next up at number 4 is FabFilter's Pro L2. The Pro L2 could be called a modern classic at this point. Admittedly, I have found myself using it less and less in favor of some of the others on this list, but it's still an undeniably great mastering limiter. I'll be brief since it's been covered pretty extensively, but the 8 limiting styles offer a good deal of versatility, while the straightforward user interface is a big reason why a lot of engineers, myself included, gravitate towards their plugins. Now, Bus and Safe are both low distortion options, with Bus resulting in greater transparency, while the Safe style holds onto the peaks a bit too long to be useful in my opinion, at least when mastering most genres. The other 6 are mild to moderately different sounding since they each shape peaks uniquely. Without look-ahead, oversampling, or true peak limiting enabled, each algorithm is essentially a clipper with varying shapes resulting in distinct harmonic formations. These harmonics, along with their slightly different responses to varying dynamics, mainly with the modern and safe settings, are the primary contributors to their distinct sounds. Now, some clip more at higher frequencies, like with the aggressive algorithm, some clip more uniformly, so to speak, across the full spectrum, but, and it might go without saying, without look-ahead, brick wall limiting will cause clipping and more distortion than with look-ahead and oversampling enabled. I'm just using Plugin Doctor here, definitely not a full-scale look into what these plugins can do, but hopefully it's helped provide some useful visual context. Let's take a listen to the demo and achieve the same LUFS as we did in the last one.
Your influences crowd
number 3, we have Oxford Limiter. If you've used the Oxford Inflator, this plugin is pretty similar. However, the upward processing is a bit cleaner with less harmonic distortion, and instead of a clipper, we have a pleasant sounding limiter. The combination offers a practical way to increase loudness without noticeable alterations to the peaks. With the enhance function, we can bring quieter details up from the noise floor while leaving the peaks just about unaffected. The safe mode is what I typically prefer. It introduces a small, roughly 1 dB boost between about negative 25 dB and 0 dB. Also, it helps to know that this boost is still present when the effect is at 0% if you have this button enabled. Now 30% is about as high as I typically go, otherwise the effect becomes too noticeable. The limiting itself is very accurate, with very little wave shaping to the peaks unless we're using a short release. Unlike the Pro L2, the short release here isn't typical clipping, it's a really unique shape that's created. But even with a long release, it introduces a good deal of harmonic distortion, so it's an interesting combination of retained peaks with enjoyable odd-order harmonics. Now again, this is just Plugin Doctor, not the same as how it will behave with a complex waveform, but it's cool to see nonetheless. You could monitor true peaks with the waveform reconstruction button, and you could also mitigate some true peaks with the auto gain feature. Let's take a listen.
Your influences crowding out, shouting out. Are you ready for it? Is anyone? And your memories flash on repeat, and it all comes back to you.
At number 2, we have Bettermaker's Mastering Limiter. Unlike digital limiters, which are predictable and exact, an analog limiter has tiny imperfections that really add something special in my opinion. Now there will always be minute differences in processing between the left and the right channels, always unexpected interactions between components depending on the song, the cables used, even the room's temperature and humidity. Unlike the other limiters on this list, this one is always audible. You could hear when it limits or clips, or when it introduces saturation. But whereas that's not always desirable with a plugin, it's very enjoyable with hardware if it's controlled carefully. This particular limiter can be controlled with software. The digital interface isn't doing any of the processing, it's simply controlling the unit. Again, with Plugin Doctor, we could get a general idea of the hardware's behavior. Minimal wave shaping occurs with the limiter function, but again, as expected, a quick attack, mainly a quick release, result in more distortion. The intelligent release function overrides the manual release setting, and it uses a value based on the input. Depending on the original release setting, this could greatly reduce distortion. A clipper could be enabled that varies the processing between limiting and clipping. It's difficult to show here since we're using a static sine wave, but establishing a value between the two will change the sound significantly. Then we have symmetrical, soft knee saturation with the odd color function, and asymmetrical with even. The signal is driven into the separate circuits with the drive amount, and the effect is blended in with the original with the amount percentage. There's an emphasis frequency as well to achieve lower or higher order harmonics. When mastering lower settings will work well, the effect can quickly become too aggressive. That said, subtle saturation can negate the need for limiting and clipping, so when all 4 functions are enabled, you get a great combination for controlling dynamics. Lastly, there's a mid-side matrix, which allows for processing mid and side signals separately, as well as setting the output's width. So let's take a listen to this hardware limiter affecting our track.
Your influences crowding out, shouting out. Are you ready for it? Is anyone? And your memories flash on repeat, and it all comes back to you.
Last up at number 1, we have Voxengo's Elephant. Now, it was kind of a toss-up for me between Bettermaker's limiter and this one, but the Voxengo Elephant is undoubtedly the best digital limiter that's currently available. That has a bit of a learning curve, but it's essentially the Pro L2 with better starting algorithms and then expert control over each parameter so that you can create any algorithm or style you want. Now, everything from a super clean, true peak, no distortion setting to aggressive loudness prioritized limiting is available. The settings could be adjusted to recreate the Oxford Inflator or emphasize saturation in the high frequency range, which results in a brighter sound. Now, I made an in-depth video about this plugin a while back, so I'm not going to cover every little detail or everything you can do with it, but in short, it's a digital limiter that can achieve the sound and behavior of any other digital limiter and some other dynamics processors. So let's take a listen to it with some settings that prioritize transient retention at the expense of a little extra distortion. Then we'll take a listen to all 5 limiters back to back so you can compare them and then maybe decide if you want to give one a try.
Your influences crowding out, shouting out. Are you ready for it? Is anyone? And your memories flash on repeat, and it all comes back to you. Listening to your influences. Your influences, listening to your influences, listening to your influences, listening to your influences.
If you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to work with us or support us, Sage Audio has been mastering songs since 2005. Now to work with us, you can create a free account at sageaudio.com, upload your songs, click Request Mastering, and leave us any notes that you'd like. We'll master the song and upload it to your account when it's done for you to review and download. If you need a revision, you can get up to 3 of those for free. If you don't have anything that you need worked on right now, you could maybe check out one of our plugins or simply like and subscribe. Thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.